one area that we have fallen down on is preserving our national sovereignty. I'm still old-fashioned. I believe in national sovereignty. Which means that I am very skeptical of any government body above our own, whether it's the UN or the IMF or the World Bank. We don't need a WTO, which is the World Trade Organization, which is very anxious because of the pressure of the international drug companies to take over control of all vitamins and nutritional substances. We don't want to have that. But then again, there are plans, and they're in total denial in Washington. A lot of members of Congress don't believe it. But there are plans for a North American Union, believe it or not, and we don't need it. We don't need a North American Union. We don't need a NAFTA highway, and we don't need a North American currency called the Amera. We need to defend this United States. One of the most common questions I get asked by the media is the interest in the internet and the interest in the young people. And if you look at history, young people have always been out front. I think young people are very idealistic. But there's something special about what's happening right now, because we have the young people, the young spirit, but we have a lot of others who are a little older that also have that young spirit. But things are coming together now. We have a crisis overseas. We have a dollar crisis here at home. We're fearful of our financial future. And all of a sudden, the people realize that government doesn't work real well. But we strongly believe not only is freedom practical, but it's popular as well. But the internet is obviously a very strong political equalizer. It is something that in a way is almost miraculous on how we can spread messages today. I'm sure the spirit was alive in all times throughout history, but today things change so much quicker, and like the speed of light over the internet. And this to me represents a gigantic opportunity for us. Not only have we been able to rally, I might say, not only has it been easy for you to rally around the cause, that it has given the campaign credibility. Because the numbers are so grand. The numbers, say, of the meetup groups. Just think of the meetup group here in this town, how great it has been. But now we have over 1,100 meetup groups around the country, and the effort just recently for fundraising, I think it was November 5th. That was a grand day. But it's a little bit disappointing that the larger audience needs to be convinced. Our audience, the supporters, are here and they understand and they know the principles, they know the philosophy, and they know their history and all this. But to get attention, you gotta put some money in the bank. And just the thought of what happened, just the fact on November 5th, having raised that much money and getting all the attention afterwards, people paid attention. So it has been a very, very valuable lesson for us. This also means that this campaign is spreading by leaps and bounds, that we will be able to participate. We will be buying more TV and radio and more direct mail, and I am sure there's going to be a lot more joining us. But it is actually very fascinating and fantastic that young people come together. I was reluctant to come into the campaign because I didn't know how many there would be. And lo and behold, I was a skeptic, and I shouldn't have been. You have removed my skepticism. I am no longer skeptical. One of the efforts that has been made, and it continues, and we cannot let our guard down, and that is the move toward the surveillance of every one of us through the move on something that I will absolutely fight to oppose and prevent, and that is the national ID card. We don't need it. The number of people that we're getting obviously are growing, but again, I think what is such a delight and a pleasant surprise, but is very logical, is how different kinds of people come together. That is just so wonderful. There's less division, less divisiveness. But it's right and proper to be that way. Why shouldn't it be popular and right and best for us to allow people to run their own lives? I mean, what's so strange about that? You know, in doing that, most of the time our country and our politicians give pretty good lip service to freedom of speech, even though at times it can be abused and political correctness can get carried away. And for the most part, we're allowed to lead our spiritual lives as we see fit. But for some reason or another now, for probably 50, 60, or 70 years, our government has accepted or taken this notion that you have no right to decide what you put in your bodies. Now, some of that is well-intended, but it's based on the fact that they don't think you're capable of making a decision. Of course, they would like to tell you that you can't smoke certain things at the same time. You know, I know a few people in Washington that drink a lot. But why isn't it they don't recognize that prohibition of alcohol was a pretty bad experiment? And I think other prohibitions aren't very wise. This idea that we have gotten to the point now where the compassionate conservatives tell us that we have to, at the federal level, override all state laws that allow people who have AIDS and cancer, who would be willing to smoke marijuana, to help themselves. That the compassionate conservatives stick to the principle that the federal government will overrule all state law and put them in prison. We don't need that. You know, the absurdity of the war on drugs has led us to this ridiculous notion that you're not even allowed to raise commercial hemp. Does that make any sense at all? Hemp happens to be a good product, and I understand you can't smoke it, so I don't think there's even any danger there. But hemp actually can provide jobs. It has health benefits. You can make rope out of it. So what do? We say you can't raise hemp here, but you have to subsidize corn, even though hemp is a better source of ethanol. But of course, we allow, because we can't raise it here, you can raise hemp up in Canada. But the point being is, why does the government have to make all these decisions? And why should the federal government overrule these laws that the states pass, and they're the ones who are supposed to be controlling this? You know, if I am to be the one to be in charge and have a policy, believe me, nonviolent users of medication or drugs or whatever they want to do, if they've never committed a violent crime, believe me, the federal government is not going to be pestering them.